All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Tennis Channel Inside In on the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. Also streaming on YouTube, available on all your platforms. Mitch Michals, joined now by, you've seen him everywhere on Tennis Channel. We've been doing podcasts for a few years, but stock and profile rising, a true professional, Steve Weissman. Welcome back to the show. First time in this room. It's been a few years.
First time in this room. I don't know what camera to look at. Am I looking there? Am I looking there? Do I look at you? This is a beautiful studio you've got here. Thank you, as always, for having me on a little earlier this year. So I appreciate that. Maybe we can make a 2 times in 2024.
Yeah, I've also been mindful too, I'll pull the curtain back. Call times are important. So I saw the show was a little later. I know the time of day, we're doing this about 10:30. So I want to be mindful of that because I know how hard you guys work. And
I will always make time for you, Mitch.
Hey, look, this has been a pleasure. And, especially your profile as well. It's been a jam-packed month. I know the grind never stops, but you've been pretty busy recently with shows and having some fun too. I saw you at the Challengers premiere on the red carpet.
So fun. I loved being there. I was privileged to be able to walk the red carpet and see the movie, and Prakash and VJ were there, and Tracy and her son Brandon were there, and so just cool to be at that event, to see that movie, which I think is huge for tennis. Anytime you can have a star like Zendaya, putting your sport at the forefront, it's massive. So she's, a lovely, lovely superstar and has done a great job promoting that movie, promoting tennis. And it was a really fun night.
Anytime you can get tennis royalty and just the people involved together is a good thing. So I thought that was just wonderful having it out here. And Get in the spotlight. The crossover appeal with tennis has been good. I think we're trending in the right direction where you got the passionate fan base, but you've got people outside the bubble that are starting to really get into it.
Yeah, tennis is having a moment right now. Not only do we have challengers with Zendaya, we've got Topspin 2K that just dropped, the big video game that Serena's involved with, Roger's involved with, all the top current stars are involved with. And then you actually have Coco Gauff winning the U.S. Open and Americans on the rise. I think tennis, right now is one of those sports that is really getting a lot of views in the world.
There hasn't been a tennis video game in quite some time, and I just remember growing up, the video games never really had all the top players, so this is huge. And Coco getting a shoe is another thing, too. I went in the fashion side's big, but the New Balance Coco shoe is great. As we kind of, get into the road to Roland Garros and how crazy this time is, I know your schedule's been busy with traveling, doing the Charleston stuff, TC Lives, but it's also good to see you with some new faces, Monica Puig, Coco Vandeweghe, friends of the show. And I like how you're the professional that ropes them all in. Okay, we're going to start them off. We're going to put them with Steve and just, we know that he's solid, so let's just keep it consistent. But I thought it's been good to see some new faces on the airwaves.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been awesome. And I like to see these, younger players or retired players kind of come up and get in the game as well. And, for me, it's so much fun because these are folks that I've known for a long time, developed friendships with over the years. And so, I've known Monica for a while and we kind of became buddies during the pandemic. And now she's doing the shows. And I know you had her agent, Ryan Ball, on your show recently. He's one of my dearest friends. And so, the three of us, get together and have a text thread with everybody. And so, she's doing such a fantastic job and is truly a pleasure to work with. And I've known Coco. I mean, we go back to 2017 Fed Cup in Maui, kicking it after they won that tie against Germany. And then later that year at Wimbledon, she makes her run to the quarterfinals. And after every match, we're hanging out. And after her run ended in the quarters, I'm at Hemingway's with her and her whole team, just, putting back certain beverages and stuff like that. So, I've played golf with Coco, and we just have an awesome relationship, and she's been so fun to work with. She's so chill. I mean, I'll go back to Cancun. We didn't have makeup there. We didn't have hair there. I don't know who else would deal with that.
You're battling the elements.
Yeah, and Coco's just whatever, rolls with it. And so, it's been cool to see both of them kind of progress, get better at their roles here. And, they're just, like anybody here at Tennis Channel, they're people that I like to kick it with, whether it's work or not work. And so it truly is a family, and it's nice to have that family grow.
Well, on the one front, I want to say the Ryan Ball episode, you guys are on the same episode, so spoiler for people listening. So it was recorded.
That's my guy.
It was recorded last week, but it will be on the same episode.
Okay, he told me about it, and I was like, that's awesome. You're, super agent. So
he was great. Yeah, it makes me think I'm wasting hours in the day when I talk to him. It's like, this guy's... No, but he was great, and the Coco stuff is great. I just wanted to follow up on that. the Maui Fed Cup, was that where, you don't have to get to specifics, but was that where the story she told on the show where she's dancing on the table like this is what top 10 feels like, or was that somewhere else?
That was somewhere else, because I don't think she was top 10 yet, because it was that year that she made, some deep runs, quarters at Wimbledon, and then obviously she dominated Fed Cup that year.
That was insane.
She was 8-0 and
2017,
took us to the title.
I was just talking about that with somebody else, Belarus final.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever really heard of Sabalenka or knew how good she was.
Yeah.
And Coco won that, put the team on the back and won. It was remarkable stuff. Hope they get back there. I think they will with Lindsay again.
For sure. That was the first year of Kathy Rinaldi's captaincy, and they won and hadn't won in like 17 years. And now this is the first year of Lindsay, and she's got such an incredible team. Obviously, LD, one of our GOATs. And, I was listening to her podcast with Roddick, coming in the past few days, and hearing some of those stories from her Fed Cup days, and now just the way she approaches, her captaincy and coaching, and such a thoughtful and awesome human, and is going to provide that to these stars that we have so many on the women's side.
We certainly do. We wish her, Lindsay Davenport, and the Billie Jean King Cup team for Team USA the best. Getting back to this road to Roland Garros, though, the Madrid Open's in full effect. There's few moments in sports, and you've been involved with it so much, Steve, for so long, but there's few moments that kind of make you put things into perspective and really you stamp in time. Nadal getting honored at Madrid was one of those for me because there's still tennis left in his future, although he is rounding third, for lack of a better metaphor. But seeing him get honored, the end of it at Madrid was one of those special moments that, it ends in a blink of an eye. It was an emotional moment. Yuri Lehecka played great to beat him, but the end of Nadal's era as it's coming to an end isn't one of those emotional moments. It was good to see him honored, but really puts things into perspective.
It does. It's sad. It's happy. It's all the feels, and it's tough when you're seeing it happen in real time, because he's not done, right? He's just probably done in Madrid.
Yeah.
But had a great run there. I mean, getting 3 wins, and we were talking on TC Live yesterday. I don't know that we wanted him to have more than 4 matches there, especially with Rome and Roland Garros coming. So this was like the perfect situation for him and what he needed going forward. Hadn't won, 3 straight matches in a couple of years. And to get the win over Alex de Minaur after losing to him in Barcelona, I thought was massive. To win a 3-hour match before Madrid, he hadn't won any match that went longer than 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he won 2 of them. So, and Lehecka played out of his mind. So, it wasn't like he lost to somebody who was a bad player or played a bad match. Yuri Lehecka played amazing tennis. But back to your point, it was cool to see him kind of enjoy the ceremony after, because I think it can be a difficult situation for an athlete, especially someone of his stature, to have an end, right? Because that's not normal. These are gods among men, gods among women, and people that you truly believe it's never going to end, but Father Time catches up with everybody. And I think him embracing it in the way that he did yesterday made it more special, because yes, it's super sad, but we're also celebrating somebody. This is an analogy that just popped in my mind. It's not the same thing, but when somebody dies, and when somebody retires, it's somewhat like a death in the sport. And so you can either have a funeral or you can have a celebration of life. And I prefer to have a celebration of life. Yeah. And I would rather celebrate that life while they're living. And that's what we're doing with an athlete, right? They're still alive. They're still vibrant. They still have more to come. And we're celebrating all that they gave to us personally and all that they gave to the sport as a whole. Yeah. And that's something that's beautiful.
5-time champion there. He won in his teens, 20s, and 30s. And it's weird to say that was his least successful of the Masters on clay, which is something remarkable. Great point to Yuri, because Lehecka, he served amazingly well, and that's what you got to do. I think with Nadal too, not playing more matches is a good point. We all want this final run, as we assume it's going to be at Roland Garros, to be a special one. The thing about these elite guys, and I've never been one, obviously, it's hard to even think about putting yourself into their minds and their bodies, but you can see that he knows how good he was. And while he's still a great tennis player, he knows what the difference is. And that's Father Time. As you said, that's getting old. It's hard for any of us to move on and get to new stages of our life. But imagine being an all-time athlete and having to adjust to that.
No, I think it's an impossible task. Yeah. And that's something that you make a great point. As humans, we all go through that in stages of life. And whether it's, running and you're like, oh, I used to be a little faster. And by the way, I think in this day and age, you can get faster, you can get stronger the older you are, and that's why we're seeing
little Tom Brady's 40 time.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw he had an ad out for somebody yesterday, and it was like, all right, give us a little clue into what you're going to sound like when you broadcast. Yeah. And what he said was like, I don't know. He was like, Tom Brady comes out of retirement to win his 8th Super Bowl. And that's what he said, which is, I don't know, might be possible. But, to see Novak Djokovic still at number 1 in the world, by the way. I know he's not playing this week. He's still the top player in the world. And tough to pick against him heading into Roland Garros as well as the defending champion. So I try to put everything positive. But yes, at the end of the day, there is going to be an end. It is tough for that elite athlete to realize that their serve is not as fast, that their forehand is not as quick, and that they can't get to a ball that they used to be able to get to, because at that level, the margins are so much smaller. For somebody like us, it maybe takes longer to see that, but at the elite level, when you have a 20-year-old in Carlos Alcaraz, a 21-year-old in Ben Shelton, and a 22-year-old in Jannik Sinner that are doing everything at such a high level, and you're 36, 37, you're like, they're probably bigger, faster, and stronger. A
lot of times it's not one drastic drop-off. It's a few percent here, a few percent there. They're seeing it at practice before we're seeing it, and then before you know it, as you said, the competition's just getting better. Right. So
it's a combination of the two.
We'll see. I mean, I like this open version of Nadal. He's kind of just talking things out loud. Like, we'll see. He's planning on playing Rome. He still hasn't fully committed to Roland Garros, and I think that's not him being disingenuous. That's him saying, I want to play it if I can go far. And he'll see how his body feels. It's different to see this from Nadal, but I do encourage it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I want to get that sort of transparency. We all want that, from our athletes, from the people that we look up to. And he's such an icon, beyond sports. These tennis stars at that level, whether it's Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, Serena, they're one of one humans on the planet. And so when they speak, I listen. Because to get to that sort of place in the world, whether it's on the court or what they've done off the court, it takes a different mindset. So I like getting inside there and hearing what he has to say. And I believe he's going to play Roland Garros. I would be heartbroken if he didn't. But I know he's also looking forward to the Olympics and hopefully playing doubles with Carlos Alcaraz, which that'd be a pretty sick moment to see as well. Maybe get another gold medal. But he does need to be able to believe he can compete. And 3 out of 5 is so much different than 2 out of 3. And not being seeded is so much different than being a top seed.
My first thought, too, and I know this has been a debate, and there's no right answer. It's like all debates where you can take different perspectives. But, man, where they put him for himself and for the rest of the draw is huge. Because, it's like if he comes out there as an unseeded, draws someone big, let's say he does have enough to beat him, which isn't great for the seed to draw Rafa. But then you wonder how this is going to progress and if they're going to use a protected ranking. The French Open, Roland Garros hasn't really done that much. So
no, and there's been debates about whether you do that or don't do that. At this point, it'd be hard to say you do that.
Because Wimbledon maybe because they've got more of a track record for using their formula.
Yeah, but then you could say, Mitch, like this guy's won 14 times.
Yeah,
like
he'd be the exception
of any exception to the rule. This man is our exception. I don't think it's a wrong decision either way. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, Roland Garros seeded Rafa Nadal at the tournament that he's won more than any human on the planet.
Yeah,
okay, I get it. I get why you did it. And then if they're like, we're not going to seed him. We've never done this. They did for Serena, I think it was a 16-32 seed back in the day when she was coming back. I don't. It would be hard pressed for me to make a strong argument that they were wrong in not doing it as well. I know that if you're a seeded player and you draw Rafa Nadal in the first round, you're not happy.
Nope.
And I think
you're probably not just playing Rafa either. You're playing however many thousand.
Oh my God! You're playing the crowd. You're playing Rafa. You're playing the legacy. You're playing the aura, and you've already lost 3 games walking on the court. So. And I don't think Rafa minds that. If Rafa's not seeded, I don't think he's going to be bummed out about that. I think if he knows that he's healthy enough to take the court there, he'll put himself up against anybody. Do I want to see him play Carlos Alcaraz in the first round of Roland Garros? No, but it could happen.
More with Steve Weissman here on Tennis Channel Inside In. We're talking Madrid, road to Roland Garros. It's clay court tennis. It's amped up. Madrid's been interesting as we record this. There will not be the dream final rematch between Alcaraz and Sinner, both going out in different formats. Alcaraz lost on the court to Andrey Rublev, which we'll get to in a second, Steve. But Jannik Sinner pulling out against Felix, against a match that was going to happen tomorrow against Felix Auger-Aliassime, I want to start with first. Sinner had been dealing and open with some hip problems, battled through, won a tight 3-set match against Karen Khachanov. You know he's going to fight and push you, but Sinner pulling the ripcord and in a justifiable sense doesn't want to inflict any damage going forward. It's stunning to see, but it does make sense because we're at that time of the calendar where if you've got anything wrong, you got to just think about the majors and think about the rest of the season.
I think it's such a smart decision by Sinner and his team, and he's made all the right decisions over the past 8-9 months, even before that. But why push yourself further? He's already proven that even with this injury, he can beat a top player and grind it out. You've still got Rome. You've still got Roland Garros, as you say. I mean, that's the one we're looking at. He's 28-2 this year. I mean, Jannik Sinner, in my opinion, is the best player in the world right now. I know he's not number one in the rankings. He has proven since January that he is the best player in the world. He won the only major that we've had, his first major ever. Backed that up with another 1,000 victory, another 500 victory. This man is dominating the sport of tennis right now. And why he's doing that is because he's making decisions like this, him and his team. So smart in the way they approach the offseason. Not playing anything before the Australian Open. People are like, oh, should you have played it? Apparently not. No. They know what they're doing. And not playing tomorrow against Felix Auger-Aliassime, there is more to lose than to gain. Take that time off, get your body right. I would say if you don't have to play, if you're not right for Rome, just get ready for Roland Garros. So I agree with this decision wholeheartedly, and I'm a firm believer that this is the year of Jannik Sinner right now, and if he's healthy, that will continue, whether it's Roland Garros, Wimbledon, U.S. Open. I mean, he is such a complete player right now and still adding to his game and has such a dynamic and humble personality off the court. I mean, this guy's a major superstar, and I'm excited for the sport.
Yeah, I do want to have sympathy for the Madrid fans. This is brutal to have that match not taking place, so I do have sympathy there. And I don't think this is just because Sinner's not the guy building himself to one result. That's why he makes himself so special. This isn't necessarily even saying like Roland Garros is the goal. The goal is another great season to keep getting better. It's why he's so good is that he didn't build his game to win one tournament or beat one player. So it's a smart decision. Unfortunately, he's not going to play. But if he breaks through on clay, if he does have a good Roland Garros, it's like, what else is there to do?
Yeah, well, Wimbledon.
Oh yeah, win Wimbledon, but like but Roland Garros has been the one tournament. I know he's made a couple quarterfinals, but if he goes semifinal or final here, then he really does become an all-surface player. And I mean, that's why this road, and I've said it the last couple weeks, but we're so used to it being the Rafa Invitational, and maybe Federer can challenge, maybe Djokovic, Stan got in there, but this is the first time in a long time where you could talk me down some contenders. It's like, they can make a run and maybe go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, with the way he's been playing, there's no way to count him out of any event, of any match. He's just, like I said, he's the best player in the world right now. So, and he's been able to prove that on all surfaces. Jannik Sinner is, he's the man. But then you have Carlos Alcaraz, who is also the man.
Right. I think, and this was his first tournament back. I mean, there's a big point in there. He did look, and watching the Rublev match today, full marks to Andrey Rublev, getting himself back on track, needed a result like this in a lot of ways. And sometimes the winner is the more motivated, more hungry player. I do think, though, that Alcaraz kind of was not playing with some constraints on, but was still finding it. The first time back, there's going to be some rust. The serve wasn't there today. Things I expect him to get better at as we lead up to Paris.
So he was not 100% healthy. Jannik Sinner was not 100% healthy. I think the positives that you take out of both of that is that they were able to progress this far without their A game. And that's what you want from the top players in the game. A 22-year-old and a 20-year-old to be able to win consistently when they don't have their best, because they're not always going to have their best. And at this point in the tennis calendar, where we've already played so much, there's still so much more to come, you're not always going to be 100% healthy. So if you can win those matches, that says more about them than anything else. I also want to go big picture here, Mitch, in the fact that we have been conditioned because of Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Serena Williams to believe that if you're at the top of the sport of tennis, you're expected to make the finals every week or the semifinals every week. That is not normal. No. Those players were not normal. There's a reason why they're the GOATs. And going forward, whether it's Alcaraz, Sinner, Coco, whoever, Iga, whoever is at the top of the game, they're not going to win every match. And when they lose, it is not a shock to me because they are not the big three in Serena.
Yeah.
Like that's not what they did isn't normal. And I know that we grew up in that. And that's how we've been conditioned in our minds. If you're 1 or 2 in the world and you've won a major, you better make the finals.
How do you lose in the 4th round of any tournament?
Yeah. That's going to happen with these guys. Alcaraz is 20 years old. He's 20. Like he's going to lose matches. Yeah. That doesn't make him not great.
Yeah. It also I'll go one further. We don't want to take away from the victories that the other side of the net's doing, how hard it is and the effort that they're putting forth. Like it's a push-pull for sure.
And Rublev, by the way, is a great player.
Well, he is a great player.
Somebody ranked outside the 200 beating.
Rublev won 80% first serves today. Like that's what I'm looking at. Like, okay, like that, because we all talked about the serve. Like maybe because he's looking for that breakthrough in any major tournament.
Yeah, past the quarters.
We'll see. I mean, it was a good sign from him, but the other thing with Alcaraz is he's had the history of end of years, maybe running out of steam. I like him being selective with his schedule. I like him saying, okay, same with Sinner. I got bigger goals in mind. I want to go the distance. So it does provide an opportunity in Madrid, though. I was looking at the rest of this field. We were talking before we started. You got Fritz taking on Sorrento after we record this, so the result will be spoiled by the time you listen to it. But one of those guys plays Rublev. Felix Auger-Aliassime in the semis to take on either Medvedev or Yuri Lehechka. This is the land of opportunity in Madrid.
We were talking. I think it's Medvedev's tournament to lose now.
It's great how he's the guy, and I'm not disagreeing, but it's just great how he's the guy that whenever there's chaos and upsets, injuries, who's going to take the opportunity? He just walks right through the door and takes it.
That guy, by the way, I mean, he's a baller, and if it even came to somebody who I would expect less to be upset, it would kind of be Daniil Medvedev. He's not losing early in tournaments ever. Like he may not win every tournament, but he's progressing pretty far. Like he's a consistent player, and so and on all surfaces, So that's the guy that I think. I think he gets through Lehechka. I think he beats Felix. No, not this great tournament by the way for FAA. Love to see him back
in the mix. Yeah.
When he's good. Tennis is better. I like Fritz winning today. We'll see. This is going to come out after, so I could be a complete dummy, like Andy Roddick likes to say, or I'll be, an oracle. And then, Fritz, I can see beating Rublev. If it's Medvedev wins that final.
Well, yeah. The Fritz thing is huge too because, on clay, he's been underappreciated, underrated for how good of a player he's made himself out to be, and it has taken time and hard work. This is an opportunity for him. Final of Munich the week before. And I love the fact, I said it multiple times, I love the fact that he's driven by, I want to be known as the top American guy.
Yeah.
So when Shelton got that top ranking, he was not happy. He's like, no, this is unacceptable. And that's the attitude you need.
By the way, Mitch, they're playing doubles together, right?
Yeah. It's all.
So, is that mind games?
Maybe. I love it. It's a competitive, right? We're talking about competition. And I know all these guys would say, hey, I'm going to beat you up, and then we're going to have a beer after, and that's how it should be.
I think they're all like that. We talked on TC Live the other day about it, and I can't come from Andy Roddick's perspective because he was number 1 in the world. He is a major champion, and he's done all these. He's a Hall of Famer, and the guy's just the best human. But so he's like, I don't, unless you're going to be number 1 in the world, it doesn't matter to be the top ranked American man. But that's the thinking from the Roddick days. That's the thinking from the Pete and Andre days. That's the thinking from the McEnroe Connors days. When we had American men at number 1 in the world. That hasn't happened in now more than 20 years. Yeah. So these guys have all grown up wanting to, like, the best that they have seen people do from this country on the men's side is be the top-ranked American man and not the top-ranked guy in the world. Right. So it does mean a lot. And I think when Shelton got to one, that was big. I think Fritz was like, hey, man, that's my spot. Snagged it back. They're right, they're ranked right behind each other right now. I think Tommy Paul wants that spot. I think Seb Korda wants that spot. They all want it.
Yeah, you got Francis too, so that's 5 in the top 25 going into this week. So it's tough. And there is an arrogance you have to have in that mindset where whether it's Fritz, I've heard this about him, which I completely get, you just get to a point where you expect to beat everyone ranked below you. Like they're not on my level. And that's, hey, that competitive arrogance is needed. It's driven guys to all-time success. So I get it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you want to be the best, you better beat everybody below you, and then you need to bring your best to beat the guys above you, and hopefully get there. But as they always say, Mitch, it's easier to get to the top than to stay at the top. So, because then everybody's gunning for you. You got that bullseye in your back, and they're bringing their best every single time they take the court against you.
You got that baseball pitcher second go-around metaphor I use, where they've got film now. They've seen your stuff. They're gonna study your game, so it's not gonna catch anyone by surprise. Separates champions, and on that note, getting to the women's side, Steve, we got Iga on clay again. So talk about a champion picking up right where she left off. She's been pushed a little in this tournament, but so well-rounded on this surface. It just fits what she does like a glove. And yeah, there's a reason why she's a prohibitive favorite at Roland Garros.
Yeah, I mean, she's won the last 2 times. She barely loses games. When she lost a set yesterday, she came back and was loving 2.
That was Rafa-like. Can I say that? I know that was her idol, but that's Nadal-like. Lose a set, get upset, and then just roll from there.
7th bagel of the season already. I mean, she's a bakery. That's what she does. I mean, she wants to win by 6-1. She wants to win by 6-love, and she won. We've got guests like in the window saying hello. And so you make the point, and it's completely true that on this surface, her game is made for it. She gets a little bit more time. She hits such a heavy ball, and she is the favorite heading into Roland Garros. That said, she is also beatable. She's also beatable, and that will come down to more of who's on the other side of the net and the mental game. And so, Elena Rybakina has been absolutely killing. I mean, she is like low key, this silent assassin that hasn't lost a match.
Did you watch her match today? Did you see the highlights of it?
I haven't yet.
Putin-Seva.
I know she saved 2 match points.
5-2 serving, 2 match points. She wins the next 5 games. She gets out of that hole and wins it. And
assassin.
It wasn't like a total choke job either. What I saw was a serve that in any moment can get you out of trouble. Yeah. Now, she dug in and got the break back and then went from there. But when you have the biggest serve weapon, maybe the biggest weapon in women's tennis, it's up there in the discussion, what Rybakina's serve can do. Yeah, I'm with you. She is somebody that's beaten Iga on clay before. It hasn't been.
Always beats Iga.
Right? And there's that little kryptonite there. And Styles making fights. I think we kind of undervalued what she's done, Steve, because she didn't get off to a great start. She had the illness, missed Indian Wells, that insane Australian Open tiebreak loss. People kind of maybe forgot a little bit about
she's
what she
30 wins
do.
this year. She has more wins than anyone on tour.
Yeah.
So other than the Australian Open, she's balled out. And she's doing it on every surface. She's won 16 matches in a row on clay. We think of Elena Rybakina. I don't know that you think, all right, she Wimbledon, champion, and then you think on hard courts she brings the serve and she's got those big hard hitting strokes, but she's killing it on the clay as well. She had to pull out of Roland Garros, unfortunately, last year in the 3rd round, so we don't count that as a loss. And today, being able to battle back from match points down, I think we also don't talk about her as much because of her personality, which is just more low key.
Yeah,
she's cool, calm, collected.
Her sister got all the energy. But I love it. And I think that serves her so well in big pressure moments.
Absolutely.
We talked about aura with Nadal and certain things. I know Iga's not on that level, but she's building a resume and an aura of her own. A lot of players are intimidated walking out to play Iga on clay.
Not Rybakina. But I don't think Rybakina's intimidated playing anybody.
That's the thing.
She's she has that cool confidence. And that's something that is innate. You don't teach that. I mean, you either have one or the other, right? You either don't have the confidence or you got that big personality that's just like, kind of cocky to an extent, and you toe that line, or you're the Rybakina who's just like cool, calm, collected, knows exactly who she is, and she's going to beat you, and you're going to be like, wait, what just happened? Yeah. How did I lose love in 1? And you're like, well, this woman on the other side of the net just absolutely dominates. And I think she could legitimately win Madrid and beat Iga.
It's not out of the realm of possibility given the altitude, which we hadn't brought up yet. It's kind of late, 30 minutes. I haven't even said altitude in Madrid. But no, it affects what Rybakina can do. We saw Sabalenka give it to Iga in the final last year. Other names, though, like if we're going to say, okay, who else realistically could be a contender, who would be on your list? Obviously, Iga and Rybakina are there.
Iga, Rybakina. I mean, I love Aryna Sabalenka. Yeah. I think she has found a little resurgence now. I mean, she's been through stuff off the court that has been really difficult, but on the court, I mean, she can beat anybody at any moment. And as long as mentally she is in a good place, she's been number 1 in the world. She won the major this year.
No more consistent player across the board at majors than her in the it's not really close. So she seems like she's in the mix and ramps up her game at big events, which is what we like to see. I would have to maybe add Danielle Collins to the mix, given that I know the win streak came to an end, 15 straight. Love the IG post, by the way. We're starting to see more of that personality where they said oldest woman, she's 30, oldest woman to go on a win streak that long. And she's like, can you believe what this granny did?
So every year, Mitch, in Charleston, Charleston's like my favorite event, right? Yeah. And so they treat us so well. It's such a beautiful city. The food is amazing, from the owner, Ben Navarro, to the tournament director, Bob Moran, to the tournament manager, Eleanor Adams. They're just the best humans you could possibly want to work for. And I make a new best friend every year in Charleston. And so back in 2017, it was Daria Kasatkina. And to this day, she's one of my buddies. And I go on her vlog, and I just truly adore her on this planet. And this year, I made a new best friend in Danielle Collins. Okay. And because they come to the desk every time after they win. It's a beautiful thing. There's no we're not going to see Tennis Channel. It's just expected. And then I get to talk to them for 7 minutes. Yeah. It's literally the best. And so Danielle came 5 times. First time she comes, we do, nice little interview. She literally stayed at the desk for 15 minutes just chatting. There's swarms of fans that want her autograph. They're just waiting. She's just chatting. I'm like, okay, this is great. So we're talking, and then she literally took one of our chairs. She's tired. She just came off the win in Miami, straight to Charleston. Signs every last autograph, and then this happens every single time she comes to the desk. And it just I learned a lot about her. I think the tennis community learned a lot about her, and her philosophy and the way she approaches tennis. And one thing I learn about these players when I get to speak to them off court, whether it's Danielle Collins, Yulia Putintseva, Alize Cornet, whoever, somebody that you may see on court, Andy Murray, you may see on court and be annoyed by the way that they act on court. That is their office. That is their place of work, and whatever they need to do in that space to reach greatness, that's what they do. But off the court, that's not who they are, right? So Danielle Collins is a thoughtful, kind, incredible human. And so, I try to let the world see that in these interviews. And so, getting beautiful answers from her, and basically, if you don't like it, stay bothered, right? So, when she won, I don't know, we posted that clip of her talking to the fan, where she was like, show some more respect, come out here and do what I do. And I commented on the post, and I was like, those fans in Madrid can stay bothered. And Danielle commented right under it, couldn't have said it better. So, I mean, it was just, beautiful to see what she's been able to do over the last 5 weeks or whatever it's been. Sure. And she can beat if she is healthy. And that's the thing. People also forget, she's, endometriosis, also going through the rheumatoid arthritis and all these things that she needs to manage. And so people see somebody on court, forget everything about their health, forget everything about them just as a human. They're like, that annoys me because the way they act, and people can be very judgy, and they don't understand. One, at any moment in time, you never know what anybody else is going through.
Absolutely.
So be kind, be empathetic, and it really made me happy and proud to see everything that Danielle has been able to accomplish in what will be her last year. Don't question her about her last year. Don't question Andy Murray about whether he wants to play. Let these athletes do them and do whatever they want. They've earned that.
That reminded me of the legendary Nick Saban sideline reporter, where she's just basically stop, I'm done talking about this. You don't have to ask me anymore. But it's great. You've done a great job showing her personality off, and but some people have known, other people haven't. And I love watching it. I'm going to savor Collins' last year. Also knowing that you talk about absence of fear. I mean, she doesn't fear anybody.
No, absolutely.
That Charleston was impressive that she went right from hard court to clay and then just picked up where she left off.
That's the thing with Danny, though. If she is 100% healthy, she can beat anybody on the plate. She can beat Iga. She can beat Arena. She can beat Elena. It doesn't matter. She has that game. Yeah. She can do everything, and I think she can do it on every surface. It's just, in tennis, consistency is tough. And it's also health, it's tough to stay 100% healthy, but she's a threat. If she's healthy, she's a threat anywhere she steps on the court.
Well, the way Madrid's going to shape up, again, another match has taken place as we record this. Andreeva's going to take Sabalenka. Andreeva just turned 17. This could be a moment for her. And then, we'll see what ends up developing, because if Sabalenka loses, could be Coco's spot, could be Rybakina getting to that number 2 spot.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity there. And for Coco, I know she fell out early, but still very much in the mix, loves playing on clay. Yeah, there's going to be a nice, solid quartet maybe of contenders going in.
I never bet against Coco. In fact, I always bet on Coco. Like every major, I'm like, why not Coco? Why not? She won the Roland Garros Juniors. She's good on clay. I think it helps her game. The one kryptonite for her is Iga. You know, that's the one thing she needs to get past. She did it once. Yeah. It needs to do that consistently. I think she can. I wouldn't bet against it. I believe in Coco Gauff wholeheartedly. So she's a contender at every event she steps on the court. I love Mira Andreeva. I mean, she is a special talent. She is somebody that knows how to fight on the court for somebody her age that just turned 17 to be able to battle through matches and think her way through matches. That's something that makes Coco Gauff special, is her problem solving. Mira Andreeva has that same ability to problem solve during a match, find a way. Right. But not only that, much like Coco Gauff, her personality is just a beautiful, sparkling work of art off the court. Yeah. And so that's what a superstar needs. Superstar needs to be able to be a star on the court and just dominating on the court, and then have that personality that you connect to off the court. Mira has that.
Certainly does. And just one last note on Coco. That 2 ranking would be huge. Get on the opposite side of Iga.
Yes,
and
massive.
Not have to deal with her to the finals if you get there. So
I think Rybakina needs to win the tournament for that to not happen.
Right.
Otherwise, it's Coco.
And then,
or Sabalenka, yes, if Sabalenka defends.
There's a lot of opportunity. We still got Rome. It's going to be fun. Steve Weissman, this was a blast. Last thing, though, I want to pay homage to the players that from the game are stepping away, retiring. Alizé Cornet will retire after Roland Garros. Has been around and was a consistent force for French tennis for so long. And then, a week or so ago, Garbine Muguruza, 2-time major champ, got to the top of the mountain, losing some pillars in the WTA and 2 women that really made their mark.
Yeah, I mean, Muguruza is a legend. She's a first ballot Hall of Famer, number 1 in the world, 2 majors, you're in. So the minute she did that, she was in the Hall of Fame, beating both Williams sisters. I mean, and doing it at Roland Garros and Wimbledon. I think that's the most difficult duo to have, as opposed to a hard court slam and one of those. Yeah. So she was a joy to watch, a joy to talk to off the court as well. Brought so much to the sport. I'm bummed out that she's retiring. Maybe she'll come back at some point, like many do. But I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but she's going to be working for Tennis Channel International already, I think at Roland Garros or maybe Rome. So doing broadcasting, and I think has some interest in doing regular Tennis Channel, American version. So come on in, Garby.
Come on in.
Let's chop it up on the TC Live desk. That would be a huge addition. And, I brought up Cornet earlier, and Alizé is such a cool individual, and you may not like the way she acts on court, but off court, she's awesome. And she has already written a couple of books, has a lot to offer the world. I think maybe she'll do some broadcasting in France. And that streak that started in 2007, I think it's 68 right now, major main draws in a row, which is a record.
Yeah.
That level of consistency in our sport is so special. And she threatened retirement for a couple of years now, right? But then she made the quarters at the Australian Open a couple of years ago. I'm having the best season of my life. I think I'll keep doing this. But I think it's also cool that she's able to go out on her own terms, healthy, in the tournament where she got a wild card when she was 15. Paris, Roland Garros, and they treat French players better than any event. She's going to be on Philippe Chatrier for as long as she wants to. And so that's cool. We saw Tsonga do that. I believe Simone do that as well. So now another, one of the pillars of French tennis for the past 20 years will be retiring. But, cheers to both of them, and look forward to seeing Garbine Muguruza on Tennis Channel.
Let's go.
And in Newport, Rhode Island.
Cheers to both of them. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Steve Weissman, this was a fun chat, as always, on Tennis Channel Inside in the official studio room. And we got one more in us in 2024.
Absolutely. I don't know that I gave you a quote today that will get the 1.9 million views.
I know.
I'll dig. If Francis Tiafoe wins a major, that'll be the greatest thing to happen to American tennis. 1.9 million views. Second in history for Tennis Channel Social.
Yeah.
I could make an amendment to that. We didn't talk Ben Shelton a lot, but I could amend Ben Shelton winning a major will be the biggest game changer in American tennis. And I'll stick to it. Okay. Game changer. Because they are transcendent humans.
Yeah.
And they have big personalities, and
that they do.
As a major champion, then they're going to get to number 1 in the world. if you're a major champion, in my opinion, it's probably going to get you there, especially for Ben.
Yeah.
And that'll affect everything.
Well, Steve, this was fun. Can't wait. I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not going to chase you down in 20
I'm always
years.
available, Mitch.
Yeah.
You know I love to do this. So and with these 2 fun cameras we got here the background and this is big time.
Hey, I do my best here, but no, talking to you, learning a lot from you, watching you, studying you as a broadcaster, it's been great. So I appreciate the time talking to me on Tennis Channel Inside In.
Is Marian after me or before me on this podcast?
Oh, well, he's gonna be after you.
Okay, so coming up next,
there we go.
Tennis super agent, my friend Marian Ball, gonna chop it up with Money Mitch. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be great. Pleasure, Steve. Thank you.